President al-Assad issues a legislative decree on setting up a charity fund at the Ministry of Religious Endowments. Our armed forces destroy Jabhat al-Nusra terrorists' hideouts, eliminating a large number of them and confiscating their criminal tools in Dar'a and Al-Hasaka. The Muslim Brotherhood escalate their aggression against those who oppose them, as 9 are reportedly killed and 100 injured as a result of these aggressions. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our news for today. President Bashar al-Assad today issued legislative decree number 51 of 2013 on establishing a charity fund for zakat at the Ministry of Religious Endowments. The fund enjoys financial and administrative independence. It aims at ensuring fair distribution of zakat money among the beneficiaries and helping the needy in accordance with the Islamic Sharia. The fund is exempted from different kinds of taxes and fees. In Dar'a western suburbs, our armed forces took control of the villages of Khirbet Sannin, Abdilli and Ain Zakar after eliminating Jabhat al-Nusra-linked terrorists and confiscating large quantities of weapons and ammunition, as well as an 82mm mortar gun and a vehicle loaded with equipment, vision and communication devices and criminal tools. In Al-Hasaka, our armed forces destroyed terrorist hideouts in Al-Mughira, Sabah al-Khair, Al-Arisha and Al-Atalla villages in the governorate's southern suburbs. They restored security and stability to Al-Khama'il village after armed men fled the area. The Dutch authorities have arrested a 19-year-old young woman suspected of recruiting extremists in the Netherlands to fight alongside the terrorist groups in Syria. Spokeswoman of the Hague prosecutors, Nicolette Stoll, said that the young woman, who was arrested in the city of Zoetermeer, east of The Hague, was held in custody for 2 weeks for investigations after the families of some young men who went to Syria filed complaints against her. Stoll added that a widespread investigation is conducted in the Netherlands on recruiting fighters to be sent to Syria. The French Interior Minister Manuel Valls had confirmed that more than 600 Europeans, including 120 French, are already in Syria fighting alongside the terrorist groups. Iran strongly condemned the decision taken by the EU Foreign Ministry to enlist the military wing of Hezbollah on what is called the list of terrorist organizations, asserting that this decision will not change the role of Hezbollah party in resisting the Zionist entity. Iranian Foreign Minister Ali Akbar Salehi said that this decision contradicts with the political and the legal standards, and it comes in the context of ensuring the interests of the illegitimate Zionist entity and the pressure put by those who protect this entity in Europe. Saleh expressed astonishment for designating as a terrorist a party which struggled against the occupation and which has a legal presence in the Lebanese government. Saleh asserted that the presence of Hezbollah party in the official political arena, supported by a large popular base, is a proof of its legitimacy in Lebanon. The Egyptian gas line leading to Jordan was detonated today by unidentified armed men in Al-Kharouba area in Al-Arish, north of Sinai, for the second time since the ousting of Egyptian President Mohammed Morsi. Egyptian sources which reported this said that the army and warplanes pursued the masked armed men who fled into the desert at dawn today, but they were not able to capture them. They added that the clashes which took place in Tahrir Square yesterday evening in Cairo and the city of Qalyub in the governorate of Al-Qalyubiyya left 3 citizens dead and 44 injured, whereas the confrontations that erupted at dawn today in Al-Nahda Square, the surroundings of Cairo University, Al-Jiza Bridge and Murad Street caused 6 people to be killed and 33 others to be wounded. The sources said that the clashes which also erupted at dawn today in Al-Rabi'a Square and in Nasr Town and Tahrir Square resulted in the injury of 9 persons. It is to be noted that an Egyptian policeman was killed in Al-Arish north of Sinai yesterday as a result of an attack launched by armed men in a vehicle. The second day of the Russian exercises in the Urals region continued with the aim of assessing the ability of the missile units in case of emergency and to check their readiness to carry out specific tasks. Spokesman of the Russian Ministry of Defense, Igor Igorov, said a command unit and 2 divisions of missile forces were put on high alert for the exercises in which combat patrols participated. He added that the redeployment of missiles will be conducted in specific training fields. Transcontinental ballistic missiles of the type Topol SS-25 cycle participated in the exercises. The maneuvers come in the wake of finalizing the combat readiness drills in military areas in the Far East and Central Russia, in which about 160,000 soldiers, 1,000 tanks and armored vehicles, as well as 130 aircraft and 70 ships participated. That was our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Now to latest business and market news with Nariman Qassam after a short break.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The Cabinet has approved a bill to incriminate those who deal with the currencies other than the Syrian pound. The Ministry of Economy and Foreign Trade is studying the import licenses following the decision last month to organize the import process. The Ministry's study aims at estimating the value of demand and the basic needs for the second half of the current year. The import data from 2010 until now will be included in this study. The Ministry has meanwhile made a proposal about pricing the basic materials of citizens' needs. The Central Bank of Syria has prepared a draft law for prohibiting any dealings with currencies other than the Syrian pound. The draft has been submitted to the Cabinet. It announces prohibiting dealing with foreign currencies and other commodities, stipulating imprisonment penalties of 3 to 10 years against those who violate this law, as well as financial penalties not less than 3 million Syrian pounds and confiscation of the payments. The Commercial Bank of Syria started yesterday the sale of foreign currencies, specifically the euro, taking into account that the sold operations will be for non-commercial purposes. According to the instructions of the euro sale process, the Syrian people are called upon to present their identity cards or the temporary residence, as the conditions stipulate the sale of foreign currencies for non-commercial operations. The instructions include that the upper limit should be 1,000 euros per month and no more than 10,000 euros per year. The prices of the U.S. crude oil fluctuated after dropping in more than a week, as weaker than forecasted U.S. economic data raised concern that growth will stall in the world's biggest oil consumer. Futures slightly changed after declining yesterday from the highest price in 16 months. Crude stockpiles probably shrank by 2.5 million barrels to a 6-month low last week. U.S. stocks rose as monthly flows into equity exchange traded funds reached a 5-year high. Most European stocks rose, with the Stoxx Europe 600 index trading near a 7-week high. Gold swings between gains and losses after raising the most in a year, amid speculation that the rally to a 1-month high may hurt demand. Spot gold rose and fell 0.2% and traded at $1,338 an ounce. The dollar held its biggest decline against the yen in almost 2 weeks after U.S. housing data underscored the need for Federal Reserve support even as the central bank considers reducing its economic stimulus. The U.S. currency was 0.2% from its weakest in a month versus the euro. Ladies and gentlemen, this was our economic news for today. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Have a nice day.